Today, I want to talk about something that's been on a lot of people's mind: non-prescription treatment for diabetes. So stay tuned, and we'll tell you everything you want to know about non-prescription treatment for diabetes. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. And here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level, living that life that you've always wanted. You've caught me in the middle of an amazing month, diabetes awareness. Every November, we celebrate diabetes awareness, where the goal is to educate the public. The goal is to dispel myths, and the goal is to help people to understand that they can live a healthy, fulfilling life. They can go to the next level. That's what I'm doing. And I've been walking through diabetes for this month on our YouTube channel. There is a playlist that's called Diabetes 101 Series. And in that playlist is all the videos that we've done so far for this month. And this one will be included there. If you've not already done that, go back and watch that one, or go back and watch those once you're finished with this and get caught up. We are still a little bit over halfway through the month today, right? And so we've got more to go. Some amazing topics that are going to be coming up. And tonight on this episode, we're talking about non-prescription treatment for diabetes. And we've done several videos talking about diabetes, type 1, type 2, what diabetes is, insulin resistance, how to treat insulin resistance, what the goals are for the treatment of diabetes, so on and so on and so forth, right? So if you're getting some benefit, if you've been watching with us, go ahead, subscribe. Like this video if you're getting benefit, and then share it with your family, with your friends, with your community. Let them know what we are doing. So let's hop on and let's talk about what we are here to do. And that is the truth. You see it there? That's right. The truth about non-prescription treatment for diabetes. Yep. So everybody is on a health kick, and rightly so, right? We have for so long talked about diabetes management, and we've talked a lot, and in the last 2 videos that we did, we talked about lifestyle modification. And in addition to lifestyle modification, we're going to pull a piece of that into this discussion tonight, but we want to talk about non-prescription treatment. And when we're talking about non-prescription, we're talking about things that you take, right? Obviously, getting good rest, exercising, water, and so forth. All of those are considered non-prescription treatment, but we kind of lump those into what we term lifestyle modification. And when we talk about lifestyle modification, it is one of 3 things that I indicated were the treatment for diabetes. So lifestyle modification, non-prescription treatment, and then prescription, which we'll come to in later discussions as we get through the month. Okay, but in this video, we're talking about prescription. Non-prescription treatment. So if you recall, when we talked about lifestyle modification, we went through this list, right, of diet, activity, sleep, stress, anxiety, depression, pain, and inflammation. And I do want to pull out of that discussion a little bit more about diet. Okay, and so diet, when we talked about diet, what I indicated there was we weren't going on a diet, but what we were doing was we were looking at the things we're eating and making decisions, right? We talked a lot about carbohydrates and how carbohydrates work and how much carbohydrates we should have in our diet. But what I want to do is just spend a moment, and we'll come back and do more in-depth discussions of these. But as part of non-prescription treatment for diabetes, we have to include in this diet, right? And now when we're talking about diet, we're not just talking about the food you eat, we're talking about specific diets. And so you will hear people talking about being on various types of diets, right? So the one that everybody's probably heard of when it comes to diabetes, because it talks about carbohydrates, is the Atkins diet, right? So the Atkins diet was a way. And this goes along with the idea of using food as medicine, right? Using food as medicine. And so with the Atkins diet, we cut back on our carbohydrates. And if we cut back on our carbohydrates, then we're not putting as much in the body. And so we are able, or the body is able, if you will, to use the insulin that it has effectively, because we're not dumping all of this carbs in there, right? So that's that's the idea behind the Atkins diet. And there are a lot of diets that have kind of spun off, or diets that are similar, right, in makeup to the Atkins diet. When we talk about low carb, right, the keto diet, all of those diets are low carb diets. One of the big ones that has come up recently, and it's not new, but everybody is talking about it, is paleo. You've got the paleo diet, the Mediterranean diet, and then one that we use quite a bit in our practice is intermittent fasting. Okay, so all of those diets now, and here diet, it means a specific prescribed type of eating, right? Before we were just talking about how you're eating in general. Now we're talking about prescribed type of eating that is intended to help either sensitize the body to the insulin that we have, or to decrease the amount of load, that is the carbs that we're putting into the body, so that the body doesn't have to fight as much. Okay, so that's the idea behind those prescribed types of diets. And once again, I'm including them here just to mention that they would fall under this category, but we're going to come back and talk about several of those in future episodes. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's continue on. So remember, this was lifestyle modification, and we're going to start in our discussion with some herbs and or other spices that we can use. And the first one that you'll see there on the screen is turmeric or curcumin. And I mentioned turmeric in several videos ago, or when I talked about anti-inflammatory. So turmeric is curcumin is the active form, is considered to be an anti-inflammatory spice. So people, in addition to, when we'll talk about diabetes in a minute, in addition to that, people use it for osteoarthritis, right? Because it decreases the inflammation. We've used it for heart disease. It's even actually been thought to be a good antifungal or antibacterial, because it seems to reduce the growth of many disease-causing bacteria. So lots of different things that it does, right? So anti-inflammatory. So when I'm talking to patients about pain, neuropathy, talking to them about joint aches and so forth, one of the things I tell them on that list, and when I talk about decreasing inflammation, one of the things I included in that list is turmeric, okay, curcumin once again. So in the use of diabetes, then curcumin is thought to be a sensitizer. So it improves blood sugar metabolism and potentially reduces the effect of diabetes on the body, right? So it allows the body, and when we talked about insulin sensitizers, this is one of them, because it allows the body to have a prescribed amount of insulin, whether we're giving that from outside or what your body makes, then the insulin acts and works better when curcumin or turmeric is on board. Now, the exact mechanism is not rightly known, right? We don't know. We know that it decreases blood sugar. The question that we always have to ask is, if I'm decreasing the blood sugar, right, I should be able to see an effect on the A1C. Because remember, the A1C is a marker or a report card, if you will, for 90 days of what's been going on with the blood sugar. Okay. And that's where, when they do studies, they look at the effect of A1C. And so we know that turmeric does have the ability to decrease sugars. Does it have the ability ultimately to decrease the sugar enough so that the A1C improves? And the jury is still out on that, right? Some studies have shown yes, some studies have shown no. But turmeric is not a harmful spice, right? We use it in lots of food. Right? And so there are people who use turmeric and they find it beneficial for their diabetes. And so in our practice, in my practice, when I talk to people about non-prescription things to do for their diabetes, included in that list is turmeric. Right? So turmeric. All right. Hopping over, and this is one that a lot of people know about, right? And a lot of people have heard about, and that is cinnamon. Cinnamon, and once again, studies have been done for cinnamon. And when we talk about cinnamon, in addition to diabetes, just like turmeric, cinnamon has been shown to have beneficial effects in reducing the growth of bacteria. Beneficial effects in reducing neurodegenerative diseases or progression to or complications or a severity of, right? And now we're talking about Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. And it also has been shown to be an anti-inflammatory spice. So it has those anti-inflammatory properties. Now, when I talk to people about inflammation, cinnamon is included. When I talk to people about diabetes, cinnamon is included, right? So turmeric, right? Seems like we're cooking here, right? Because we have all these spices, and cinnamon is actually one of those that most people like, right? That they have it in. Coming up here in just a few days is going to be Thanksgiving. So you're going to have some apple pie, or you're going to have some pumpkin pie or pecan pie or sweet potato pie. And guess what's going to be in that? Yeah, it's going to be some cinnamon. So cinnamon is also an insulin sensitizer. And let me pause for a minute and let's talk about this word sensitizer. What it means is it allows your body to use the insulin that it has more effectively. And I'm going to use an example. This is simply an example, right? These are not real numbers. It's almost like making, taking $10 and making it look like $100. So in the body, right, these sensitizers take 10 units of insulin, 4 units of insulin, make it look like 100. And make it work like 100. I shouldn't say just look like, right? So that's what a sensitizer does. It makes it look and work like it is actually more than you actually have on board. So cinnamon falls into that category. The other thing is chromium. So chromium seems to boost the ability of insulin to work at the receptors. If you remember when we talked about how insulin works, insulin is the key that opens the door, right? That allows the sugar to go into the cell so that we can generate energy. And what happens is chromium seems to have the ability to make those keys attract even better and work even better in the keyhole of the door, right? So chromium seems to allow the insulin to work better. It allows it to open the door more efficiently. And that's how we believe that chromium works. Chromium also helps to boost metabolism of fat. Wow. So what do you think that means? So it's making insulin work better. So you don't need as much insulin. Your body doesn't produce as much. So remember, we said insulin was a growth factor. So insulin makes you put on weight. So if I can decrease the amount of insulin that my body is making or that I have to take, then not only is my blood sugar getting better, but my weight goes down, right? It helps to burn fat, which, right? So that decreases, you remember that progression to heart disease, PCOS, and all of those? So chromium, right, may have the ability to decrease that progression. It also seems to reduce hunger and cravings. And so where do we find chromium? Right? Chromium can be found in grains, in fruits, in vegetables, nuts, spices, right? I'm gonna throw one in here. So don't say I'm telling you to go do this, right? But brewer's yeast, right? When you make beer, right? There seems to be chromium in there. And then of course meats, right? Right. So if you guys go out there and you say, hey, Dr. Woods said that I can get my chromium from making some beer. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. All right. So we got Dr. Elo. How are you doing? Oh, let me pop this up here so we can say hi to you. So Dr. Elo, welcome. You are new to us. Let's give him a shout out with some music and a hand clap. Hey, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. And he said he says yes. I think he's talking about the yeast, right? The brewer's yeast that I said earlier. So Dr. Eli, I don't want you quoting me to say that I told you to go drink beer, right? But hey, all right. So yeah, so chromium seems to it comes from those foods. And like I said, it seems to bind to the insulin receptor, the keyhole, and allows the insulin to work better, right? Once again, one of those insulin sensitizers. And then I've done a video, did a short, and a lot of people have responded to this one. And this is bitter melon, right? Or sometimes you hear it called bitter gourd, right? And the reason it's called bitter melon and bitter gourd is because it is bitter. Yes, guys. I grew up eating bitter melon. I didn't know that that's what it was used for, right? It is an Asian spice. It comes from India or Asia. And that's where it originally comes from. But of course, you can find it in lots of different places now, South America, for example. And it is used almost like, I guess we grew up, when we grew up eating it, I grew up eating it, we'd cut it up kind of like a zucchini, and we'd saute it with onions and all that stuff. And when I was a kid, it was one of those foods that you really didn't want to eat. It was almost like spinach, right? It's like, no, I don't want that. But as I got older, I did eat it. And, since I'm not with my family now, they're up in New York, I hadn't cooked it, but it is one of those things that was a staple in our diet. And it contains a chemical that acts like insulin to help reduce blood sugar. So let me say that again. So remember the keyhole? So it contains a chemical that acts like a key. So what that does, it allows your body, once again, to be able to see the insulin that it has as more. So the insulin acts more effectively, and this actually seems to be able to open the door on its own, right? Now, I don't know, and we don't have studies that show whether this is beneficial for type 1 diabetics. Let me say it again. We don't have studies that show whether this is beneficial to type 1 diabetics. So for type 1 diabetics right now, don't try to use this to treat your diabetes, right? Remember, you are insulin requiring. So this is not one that we want you to, when the studies come out, if they do show that that's the case, then yeah, we can use that. And once again, just like all the other things that we've talked about, bitter melon seems to have anti-inflammatory effects. And it also helps to boost athletic performance. Right? It has lots of vitamins and nutrients and so forth. And go out and find the video that I did. I did a short on our channel on the benefits of bitter melon, right? So go find that, and you can type in there hashtag Dwayne Wood MD or hashtag replay or hashtag I was there, right? Any one of those, so that we know that you saw that. Okay, awesome. All right, so those are some of the things. Now, I mean, there are other things like ashwagandha, there's golden seal. I mean, so there are so many things that are out there. And I didn't go through all of those, but these are when you read and when you research things that affect diabetes, that improve diabetes, that are non-prescription, these are probably the ones that you will see. I'll come back and I'll do shows in the future as we get through this month and beyond on the diets, right? So Mediterranean and keto and Atkins and intermittent fasting and paleo and all those. Just let me say though, how many did I say? All diets work. All diets work. Now, they may work more for some people than others, and that all has to do with how it fits into your lifestyle. Okay? So people say, well, I have to be on this particular diet. No, you don't. If the diet fits into your lifestyle and your schedule, then yes, that's a good one. And that's why sometimes diets don't work, because I won't get into all. Well, suffice it to say that if you are trying to 100% change what you're doing in the space of a couple of weeks, then that's going to fail. Yeah, right. So when we talk about change, unless there is a drastic traumatic event in your life, if you make an instant change, you're changing back, right? So what we want is progressive changes in your life so that you can sustain what it is that you're doing. And that's the key to diabetes. Diabetes is a progressive thing in terms of the treatment, okay? And we want to make sure that you're doing things that are going to last. Okay, so enough said about that. That's, that was an aside. You got that part for free. All right. Let's hop over here and let's see. We got some comments here from Dr. Elo. Let's see. I got diabetes. Yes. Yeah. It's a big deal, Dr. Elo. He says type 2. Been learning from you a lot. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you. This is all new to me. Man, that's why I do this. I have people who come into the office a lot, and we sit and we talk, and they may come to us for the first time, and I'm going through information, and they've been diabetic 10, 15, maybe 20 years, and some of the concepts that we're talking about is they're foreign to them, right? They didn't understand that. And that is you guys hear me say every time I come on, my goal, right, on this channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage, right? That education part, that is so important. That is why I believe we are having such a boom, right? This big bursting of diabetes and pre-diabetes, because the education part is not there, right? Somebody gets diagnosed with diabetes, and Dr. Elo, this may not be your experience, but we get diagnosed with diabetes and we say, okay, hey, go and do this, right? And we send them away. Now, I recently got my certification, my coaching certification, certified executive coach, life coach, and wellness coach. And even prior to now, if if you played sports, if you played an instrument, you were learning to do something, when you went to your guy or your gal and they taught you a skill, they didn't send you away for 3 months, right? What did they do? They say, hey, go home and practice. I remember when I was taking piano, Bobby Several. Hey, Bobby, that was one of my piano teachers, and Mr. Stewart, right? So thank you guys. I can't play a lot now, but they would say, hey, go home and practice the scale, right? And when I came back, a week later or less, and they say, okay, let me see, did you practice it? Are you doing a good job with it? Right? And I came back and we practiced that until I got it. I think it is, I was going to say the word silly, but I don't want to use the word silly. I think taking someone who has diabetes, and we're trying to make all these changes, right? All these lifestyle changes, all of these mental changes, all these thought process changes, all of these changes in their lives, how they deal with issues, how they manage coping mechanisms. We're trying to make all these changes in their lives, and we bring them in for 15 to 20 minutes, and we teach them, we give them a whole spew of stuff, and then we send them away and say, hey, come back in 3-4 months. And we expect people to be successful. No, they're not going to be. So education. He said, thanks for the info. Fist bump. Same to you, man. Yeah, appreciate it. All right. So let's go over to our amazing question wheel. All right, so if you have been with us, you know this, but if you've not, then you know that every time this month, and this was a new feature we added this month, we've got our question wheel. And you'll see there on the screen, it's a wheel that has questions on it. I'm going to spin the wheel, and whatever question it lands on, I'm going to answer. right? So I've got to give you a concise, usable, practical, real answer. It can't be nonsensical, some silly stuff, right? It has to be for real, for you, so you can use it. And the kick is I've got to do it in 45 seconds. I've got to answer the question in 45 seconds. Not that I have to start answering in 45, but I get 45 seconds to put my answer together. And so I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to clip that out of the show. I'm going to create a small video from it, a reel, a short, whatever you want to call it, whatever platform. And then we're going to post it on all of our social media platforms. And what I want you to do is I want you to go out, either if you're here right now live watching, if you're on one, even if you're there and you're not commenting, we're glad that you're here. Love you to comment. Give us the thumbs up. But I want you to put into the comments when you find it, hashtag I was there, right? So hashtag I was there. And so that's what I want to do. And that's on, if I'm pull this up under my name, you'll see there, Dwayne Wood MD. And you can find me on all of our social media platforms with that name, Dwayne Wood MD. Okay. So let's pop back over here. There we go. All right. So let's go ahead and let's spin our wheel, and let's see what question we have for today. If I can get my mouse over there. Here we go. Round and round and round it goes. Where it stops, I don't know. All right, let's see. What do we got? Why is my blood sugar higher first thing in the morning? Wow, that's a good one. Ooh, let's see. Why is my blood sugar higher first thing in the morning? Okay, I got to think about that one. So I got 1, 2, 3. Okay, here we go. So I got 45 seconds on the clock. 45 seconds on the clock, and let's see if I get it. If I get it, then I'll come back. If I don't get it, then it'll go to it'll go to the hand clap. Okay, so here we go. 45 seconds. So why, and I've got to remember the question, why is my blood sugar higher first thing in the morning? Here we go, 45 seconds. Why is my blood sugar higher first thing in the morning? There are several reasons why this could be. There's something called the dawn phenomenon. And this is where the body is getting you ready to wake up. And so it pumps you full of hormones, right? Cortisol, epinephrine, growth hormone. And that's with the intention of getting you up in the morning. The other reason is if you go low during the night, then the body rebounds, right? And this is called the Smogy effect. And this is where the blood sugar goes low and then the body causes it to rise. So you're higher in the morning. And then finally, if you are insulin resistant, the most common place to see that is either early in the morning or after you eat. All right, did I get it? I think I made it right at I got it right at the end there, right at the end. So good. Let's see, what did Dr. Eli has a question. Let's see what he got there. So I've been learning. Okay, got that one. Okay. He says, thanks for the info. He said, that's how I jumped here from Instagram. Call to action work. Oh, good. I'm excited about that. Thank you. And then he says, the body uses sugar to wake you up. Okay. So let me put that off a minute. Okay. So remember that the body uses sugar for energy, right? Uses sugar for energy. And so as we are getting ready to wake up in the morning, or the body wants to wake us up, it pumps us full of energy, right? It's kind of like when you hop in your car and you want that car to go, 0 to whatever, what do? You press the gas. Why do you press the gas? Because you need energy to now go into that engine so the car can take off. So right about 3:30 in the morning for most people, the body starts to pump you full of hormones. And the hormones, they have the effect of going out to begin mobilizing energy to get your system ready, kind of like when you hit the gas in the car, so that your body goes, right? So that's why a lot of people sometimes, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I know, because you go to bed and the blood sugar is, 120, 130, and you wake up in the morning and it's 160. And then the other thing that happens for a lot of people in the morning, right? So once you get going, and think of the car again, when you press the gas initially, when you press the pedal, a little bit of gas goes into the engine, right? And so the car starts going. But then you don't stop there because you want the car to go faster, right? Because you can't like just inch down the road like that. So you press it harder, right? You give it more energy. And so the car is driving down the highway. Well, your body wakes you up with this dawn phenomenon, right? With those hormones to get you started for the day. So now you're awake. And then let's assume you don't eat anything, but you're rushing, right? You get in traffic and you're late for an appointment. You are going to someplace new. You got a project that's due. All of that stuff as you're going, guess what's happening, right? Remember we talk about the stress response? That cortisol, the epinephrine, all that stuff that's there, it's rising because you are stressed now. And so it's common for a lot of people. They wake up, they go to bed, blood sugar is great. They wake up in the morning and it's already higher, right? So it goes from say 120 when they go to sleep to 160 when they wake up. And they get into the morning and they get to work. And by the time they get to work, the blood sugar is 200 and they haven't eaten anything. And they're like, what in the world? I didn't do anything, right? And so it's frustrating. And if you don't know, if nobody has said to you, hey, this is what's going on, then you throw your hands up. You're like, man, this thing is never going to work for me, right? So that's one of the ideas there. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. All right. So remember, let's pop back over here, and we've got our bitter melon, we've got our chromium, we've got our cinnamon, and we have our turmeric, curcumin. And remember, we're talking about non-prescription treatment for diabetes. With all of the health craze that's there, rightly so, people are wanting to know, how can I do this without taking all this medication? And it can be done, but we've got to be sensible about it. Now, and you heard me say, as I went through each of those, that for a lot of it, we don't understand the mechanism. But that doesn't mean it doesn't work. And because we don't understand the mechanism doesn't mean that we can't use it, right? So all the things that I've mentioned, there's not many harmful benefits to them, right? I mentioned for our type 1 diabetics that insulin sensitizers will work. But remember, your issue is you're lacking insulin, so you need insulin. So if the sensitizers make it so that you decrease your insulin too much, then you can run into trouble, right? So make sure, as always, that you're checking with your healthcare provider as we are talking about these things, and you begin thinking, well, do I need to use this, right? For our type 2 diabetics, it's not as, I don't want to use the word problematic, right? Yeah, and you still have to check with your healthcare provider because they may need to adjust your other medications. Okay, so make sure that you are doing that. Love that. All right, so I know diabetes, huge. It's one of those things that can be all encompassing. It can seem like it's taking over your life, but the goal is to get you educated, to give you the power, so empowering you, and to encourage you to take charge of your life and health. Little things that you can do go a long way so that we can avoid complications. For those who are not diabetic, so that we can delay the progression to diabetes. And for those who have diabetes, that we can begin walking that back so that you can live the life you've always wanted, avoiding complications and going to the next level. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. And Dr. Elo, thank you so much for stopping by. And we will see you at the next video. We've got so much stuff more to talk about, guys. Come on back. If you're here, go ahead and give us the thumbs up. Like it. Like the video. If you've not subscribed, go ahead and log into your account and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. If you don't have an account, create a free account and get in there, subscribe. And then after you've subscribed and you've hit the alert button, go ahead and share this with as many friends as you can on your social media platforms. Send it by text to people who don't have social media and encourage them to come over. If someone is having trouble subscribing, get in there and help them subscribe. The goal for this is to build a community where we are educated, where we're taking charge of our health and life, and also letting other people know that they can live a long, healthy, fulfilling life. That's my goal. Thank you for coming by. We appreciate it, and we'll see you at the next video. Good night, everybody.